welcome to another edition of Rock Tales. Nick Carpenter here today with the very best of the music industry. Well, that was the plan anyway. Oh well. Our guests, well, you might call them industry veterans. Record labels would call them heritage artists. But I'd call them a great bunch of blokes who've led very full and fascinating lives. So why don't we meet them now? We have a record label promo maestro. We have someone who's been described as the legend of Polydor Records, if he shows up. We have a musician, a songwriter, a comedian, once part of the fabulous Poodles, a former member of the comic strip. He's worked extensively with Barry Cryer. He's got some great tales, I know. And we have the man who for many years was manager of the legendary Marquee Club in Soho, London. And he's got some great tales, I know. Right, the idea is that we're going to have some fun. We're going to share some amusing tales from all our various experiences in and around the crazy world of rock and roll, showbiz, the music industry, celebrity. You can be as libelous as your lawyer's fees will allow you to be. Feel free to swear. Well, yeah, why not? We can always cut it out or bleep it. Feel free to share what you think you can and what you feel you can. But the accent today, I think, should be on light-hearted humour. We aren't really here to dish the dirt. Oh, who are we kidding? Of course we are. Don't make judgments, though. Leave it to everyone else. Your best and funniest stories and anecdotes, please, gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Nigel Hutchings, and I'm watching Manic TV, as you are. And if you don't watch, Steve Blacknell will send you one of these.
Hello, this is Steve Payne, ex-plug of Atlantic Records here, My Rondor Music, various other companies, and I'm watching Manic TV and I love it. I was told to say that by Steve Blacknell, by the way, but I do love it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony de Meur, former rock god, and that pre-COVID, of course. And now reduced to watching a lot of TV, like Manic TV, which has changed my life and not necessarily for the better. A Zen Buddhist goes up to a hot dog stand and says, "Can you make me one with everything?" He hands over a £20 note and he's waiting for 10 minutes or so. And the hot dog man says, "What are you waiting for?" He said, "I'm waiting for my change." And the hot dog man says, "Change must come from within." Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Munday. I worked at Polydor for a number of years, and I worked with, I'm famous for working with the Jam, the Style Council, Sham 69, Susie and the Banshees. I did all the punk stuff in there from about 78. Well, then I worked right through to 85. I left Polydor in 85.
No, it's funny because I just remember when I first joined Polydor as head of promotion, the second time I went to Polydor, I had my first dealing with Weller, and they were being promoted. They were taken care of by Ferret and Spanner, and they did a great job. I mean, fucking fortune they were charging. I mean, back in, we're talking about 89, 90, I think, and they were charging something like $5,000 a month on a rolling contract. Rolling, not just... ending, it rolled on forever, and I got to deal with Weller and his dad. I mean, oh fuck me, I'm so glad I didn't have to work with them. You know, complete arseholes, nasty people. I shouldn't really say that, should I? But I have. I mean, has anyone else had dealings with them?
Oh yes, at the Marquee. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. So you do know what John was about then?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right at the beginning. I mean, we put them on. I think we put them on first as a support act, and then it just took off like a rocket. And we dealt with John, who was a bit of a tough guy. You probably know, and but you know he's okay to work with. Paul Weller, I think may have been a bit more difficult, but certainly worked with John and had a couple of run-ins with him actually. But it all worked out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I remember the BRIT Awards years ago when the one David Bowie was on. Paul Weller won Best New Male Artist Award or something, but he couldn't be there. But his dad, as his manager, went to accept the award. And so they said, and the winner is Paul Weller. And this old geezer gets up on stage. And I remember David Bowie leant across and said, "Who's that?" I said, "That's Paul Weller's dad. He's also his manager." And Bowie said, "It's his dad? I didn't know you could bring your dad and get your dad to accept for you. I just said, my dad. Why did I show up? I could have asked my dad to come."
That's funny. There you go. Well, that's my impression of Weller and that lot. I mean, I hated working with them, just hated it. But then the other two, Foxton and
Rick Butler.
Rick, were the dreams to work with. I actually signed Rick Butler at Time UK. He had a band called Time UK.
I put them on at the Marquee.
Oh, yes, as I'm sure you did. I was at Red Bus, believe it or not, and we were the only company to show any interest in them, and we signed them.
Yeah.
Minimum of success, unfortunately, but great bloke to work with, Rick. Brilliant guy. Actually, he's a carpenter, isn't he?
He is now. He actually lives up the road from me, and I'm writing my biog at the moment.
Right.
So get your orders in. I actually fell out with Rick because when he came to me and said, "Look, the Jam split up. Can you give us some gigs for my new band, Time UK?" So obviously I said yes. And it didn't work out. So I probably gave him, I've been trying to check up on the numbers, but I gave him a kind of a residency over a number of months, so sort of 1 or 2 gigs a month or something. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't work out. And I had to pull the plug sort of halfway through, and it was all a bit kind of tense and acrimonious and what have you. And I've never spoken to him since. I've seen him around Woking because I live in Chobham.
Right, yeah.
And he always glowers at me across the fish counter at Sainsbury's and things like that.
No.
I thought, well, this guy's bearing a fucking grudge, for Christ's sake.
Well, I never got that impression that he'd be like that. He was always really genuine and really good with me. People.
Well, a guy called Brett Buddy, who's the drummer in the Chords.
Right.
I interviewed him recently, and we're talking about other bands and the Jam and all that. He said, "Oh yeah," he said. Well, Rick Butler's my best mate now. I said, well, look, do you want to give him a buzz and just say, look, it's been 40 bloody years or however long it's been. Let's put it under the bridge, go and have a beer and, and get on with it. So Rick just called me up a couple of days later. He just phoned me and he said, we had a chat for about half an hour and didn't even mention he mentioned Time UK. But I didn't mention any falling out, and I'll be interviewing him in the next few days to go in the book. Yeah.
Oh, well, give him my best wishes if he remembers me. I doubt if he will, but
I'll mention your name. No, he is a carpenter. Yeah, he's a bit of a chippy. Yeah.
So let's kick off. I think when we've done this before, we've started by asking people about their musical heroes. Everyone has one, somebody you looked up to when you were a teenager, perhaps, and then you were lucky enough to maybe end up working with them. Can any of you think of when that's happened to you? And I want to know if it was great, if it was funny, or if it was a huge disappointment. Why don't we start with Nigel? You must have met everybody, surely.
I actually started my career on the Isle of Wight as a trainee chef in Seaview at a hotel called the Halland, which housed most of the bands that played at both the 69 and 70 Isle of Wight festivals. So one of my heroes kind of then, but certainly later, because I was only about 16 then, was Kimi Hendrix. And Jimmy stayed at the hotel, and I was lucky enough one day to be traveling from the lower ground floor to the upper floor in a sort of a laundry lift, and Jimmy got in next to me. And I don't think I'd actually seen a black man before, or certainly been up that close to one, and certainly not one like Kimi Hendrix. And I was too scared to say anything, obviously, and we got out at the top, and I went about my duties and he went about his. But winding that back, he actually died about a week later, but he still holds the record for the amount of people to get into the Marquee attendance, and the Marquee legally held 400 people. And Kimi Hendrix, supported by the Nice, which is a Tony Stratton Smith band, got about 1,400 people in. That was obviously very hot. I think Tony de Meur may have got upwards of sort of 700 or 800 with the Fab Poos. I don't know. I can't remember what the number.
We did do well. We did well at the Marquee.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a close brush with Jimi Hendrix, and just to sort of round that off, in 1976, when we gave AC/DC their first kind of residency in this country at the Marquee over that summer, and they got very, very close. They got 1,350, 1,380 in towards the end of that summer, and if you were there, you would certainly remember it, because, as you know, we didn't have any air conditioning. We had seats down the front, and that was one of the hottest summers on record. So there's a couple of names to drop in.
And no social distancing either.
Absolutely not with the. I'm not going to talk about the guys at the end of the bar. No.
Steve, have you ever met any of your heroes?
Yeah, a few.
And have they matched up to your expectations, or did they disappoint?
My biggest band in the world forever for me were always Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, and I got the job at Atlantic Records as their London plugger for Atlantic, not Crosby, Stills, Nash Young, but they did the tour, the Wembley shows. I don't know if any of you remember the Wembley shows. I think it was with Joni Mitchell as well was there, and a few other people. There was an after-show party. But anyway, cut long story short, I was sitting having a drink with the mighty Dave D at a table in the party, chatting away, and I looked to my left and I saw Stephen Stills and Neil Young walk into the room, and I thought, oh fuck, please don't come and talk to me, because I'll melt, I really will. Anyway, I looked over again, and Neil Young had picked up, I think it was his birthday, and he picked up a birthday cake which was full of candles, etc., etc. And I'm sitting there thinking, he's coming towards me, and he was swaggering. Now, to this day, I didn't know this until about 6 months ago. He's actually got polio. So he does walk. Funnily, he has got a gammy leg, basically. And he came so close to me, and he got this cake, and he was about to my face. And I said to him, go on then, I'd be thrilled if you did. And he went, no, you can fuck off. I'm giving it to someone else now. And he walked straight past me and gave the cake in the face to someone else. So, yeah, he did live up to my standard, but I came close to having the face full of cake, but I'd never got it. But yeah, Neil Young, God, absolutely.
That's good to know.